Govinda.
Dhanyavad Maharaj.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat. We have a British-Brazilian gathering. A British and Brazilian and Norwegian and South African. Dayanidhi Prabhu, our young Dayanidhi. Very good. Hare Krishna. Devamrita Prabhu, welcome, welcome back. Also, Shyamalini.
Dandavas, Maharaj. Ça va très bien. Ça va bien, merci. Dandavas, Maharaj. Et vous, ça va, Maharaj?
I am happy to hear. Oui, je vais bien, merci beaucoup.
Votre français est bon.
Everybody here is good. We are back to normal. Everything going on. All right, and Chintamani Devashis, eternally driving somewhere. Watch the road, go carefully, go safely. Blue skies, American smooth roads, just see. Hare Krishna. But the smoothest road I've been on anywhere is the road from Rome to Milan in Italy. And the smoothest airport landing anywhere was the Leonardo da Vinci Airport in Rome. Very, very smooth. A few years ago, but noticeably smooth. I don't know how the Italians do it, but they have experience from the time of Roman roads, no doubt. All right, I see I need to change my internet connection, so just give me 20 seconds maybe. Shri Krishna Chaitanya.
Maharaj, I'm driving on the road that Sripad Giriraj Maharaj in ISKCON lives on in his very private monastery that I visited once. In Jaidev and I visited. We were invited for lunch one time in 2018, I think, 2019, and we haven't seen him a lot since. But he has come to our kirtan events that we have in the Santa Barbara and Ojai Valley, and he sent us a picture of him with Srila Sridhar Maharaj once when he found out we were from Sri Chaitanya Saraswat mission.
Who is this, Chintamani Didi? Because my internet was off for a short while then.
Oh, I was telling you that I'm driving on the road of Giriraj Maharaj from ISKCON, where his ashram is.
Okay. All right, Jai, very good. And here's Saraswati Didi in the West London Temple. And you can see, those of you who've not been to the London Temple, the West London Temple, you can see by the door, the shape of the door, that the building, it was connected with the church or something, right? Originally, it was where the chaplain stayed, something like that. It's a religious, historic building. Not many doors are shaped the way that door is shaped.
Dandavat Maharaj, Dandavat Devashis Prabhu, Dandavat to all the devotees, Dandavat. Pranam.
Dandavat. And so we have just come together basically in the last couple of minutes, most of the devotees. So let us give our obeisances. And so we'll do Vanchakalpatrubhischa because we've come together first. And then with one verse, we will cover everything, which is Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuttapada Kamala. All right, so let us do this together. And Anjali is there. Anjali, we're just giving obeisances, Anjali Didi.
My humble obeisances at your holy feet, Maharaj. I'm so happy to be here. I never make the Zooms normally, but I'm here at the temple now, so I'm happily attending the Zoom.
We'll speak with each other, we'll hear from you, and we'll speak in a couple of minutes. Let us start with obeisances to all the devotees, Anjali. Okay?
Obeisances to all the lovely devotees here. It's lovely to see all of you. And I'm so happy. And the Devashish is there, our lovely Devashish. And there's some I don't recognize all the faces. But it's lovely to be in your association for however long it may be on the Zoom.
Jai.
And beyond. I'm always checking everything in Italy, I always send, I'm looking nearly every day. You maybe see something. So I don't write anything, but I put a little signal, a heart or something.
They usually see because they're watching the camera. I'm on the other side.
But just I'm there,
We're happy to know you're with us.
Yes, of course I am.
All right, so let us give our obeisances in Sanskrit, because we're not so smart, but one or two verses we know. Okay, so to all the devotees, to Anjali and to all of the devotees. Vancha kalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindubhya eva cha patitanam avane. And that one verse which covers everything, Vandeham, we can say it together, those who know it. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Pada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavangscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatan Vitang Tang Sa Jivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitan Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Saha Gana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitangs Cha. A very complete verse for us. So this starting us on our way today. And am I correct in saying that today is Madhusudan Maharaj's disappearance day? Anjali, is that correct?
Yeah,
Your microphone is off. Anjali's husband was Mukunda. His name was Mukunda Prabhu, and we've known him for hundreds of years. And then in the later part of his life, he took sannyas and became Madhusudan Bhakti. What was his full name, his title?
Bhakti Sampat, I think it was Bhakti Sampat.
Yes, yeah. That sounds right. Bhakti Sampat Madhusudan.
Madhusudan Maharaj. You remember that I was there when you remember you took Sanya Madhusudan. I was there, standing there.
My sannyas was like taking birth. It was very painful. I don't remember so many details. Hare Krishna. So anyway, in remembrance of Madhusudan Maharaj, Mukunda Prabhu, and very gentlemanly British devotee husband of Anjali, then his disappearance day today, quite a few years ago. What year did he pass away?
2005.
2005, okay. 17 years ago.
It doesn't seem that long, but it was 2005, and Gurudev 2010, wasn't it?
He's already gone through the next door. Gone through the door. Not the door behind you, another door. All right. So, dear devotees, we've come together and I am here to be of service, if I can be of service. And so perhaps we don't have a subject as such for today, unless I missed seeing something.
Yes, but we do, Maharaj. We do.
We have a subject.
Yes.
Let me know what is the subject.
I sent it to you. It's faith is the only capital. Sorry, I've got to find it now.
Okay, sounds good. Faith is the only.
It's okay. Hold on. To just sort of come out a minute. Hare Krishna. Oh yeah, there we go.
Govinda, Govinda.
Faith is the only capital by which we can make our journey towards the infinite.
All right. Well, let us start first on the theme. And if you do have questions, to utilize myself, Devashis Prabhu, Saraswati, Anjali, if you do have questions, please just hold them for a short while. And let's cover slightly, at least something on this subject of faith is the only capital by which we can make our journey towards the infinite. And I'll ask Devashis first to comment because he no doubt has got this direct quote. It sounds like Guru Maharaj in probably Sermons of the Guardian of Devotion. But let's hear from Devashis Prabhu.
Yes, Maharaj, spot on. Sermons of the Guardian of Devotion, Volume 1. And the chapter is called The Success of Faith. And it's not very long, shortish chapter. So with your permission, I'll read that.
The best thing we can do, Devashis, and to hear from you. And if any of you are learning English, please hear from Devashis. You will also get a very pucker English British accent.
So yes, so this is from the Sermons of the Guardian of Devotion, Volume 1, and the chapter is called The Success of Faith. So this is Srila Sridhar Maharaj speaking.
Jai.
Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has written, Sakala Chodiya Bai Shraddha Devira Gunagai Janra Kripa Bhakti Dite Pare. Giving up everything, let us sing in praise of Shraddha Devi, faith, whose grace can take us to Krishna. Shraddha, faith, is the most subtle thing, and it is also the most tangible. It is not imaginary. We must realize that it is reality. It is concrete, and not merely an abstract sentiment of mere individual consciousness. Faith is universal as the most fundamental element that can connect us with the finest objective. Through electricity or radio, we can establish communication over a long distance. The science is very subtle and not known to anyone and everyone, yet we cannot deny its existence. It has its tangible position. But faith is much more subtle, and through it one can establish both higher contact and reciprocation. Subtle faith is not approachable by anyone and everyone. It has its tangible existence, and it may function in any circumstance if we have its peculiar contact. We cannot give false statements that we possess it. Our power and grandeur are not necessarily any proof of its presence in us. Despite great pomp and show, all we personify may be falsehood. We should be very cautious to maintain our contact with genuine faith. Of course, sincerity is the main requirement for faith's connection. No price, however valuable in this world, can purchase it. The qualification is lolium. Our sincere and earnest desire for the thing. No one can purchase the absolute, and no price can purchase him. The absolute necessity is our sincere desire and earnestness. With insincerity, we cannot make trade with him. He is not so foolish as to become an object of trade for anybody. Sincere desire for him is required, and that will awaken the conception to serve him. We want him sincerely through affection. We love him, so we desire him. And to love means to sacrifice for the object of our love. Srila Jiva Goswami Prabhu has given a beautiful definition of the word Bhagavan. Bhajaniya Sarva Sad Guna Vishishta. The Supreme Lord Bhagavan is of such nature that everyone who comes in contact with him will want to serve him and to sacrifice themselves for his satisfaction. This is the result of faith in its developed form. He is so noble. We shall think that if we die to satisfy him, our life's objective will be fulfilled. His noble quality is such that it draws so much sacrificing spirit for him. It draws everything towards him. Die to live. Faith is such. We are in the ocean of faith, and the devotees are the essential agents. Each helps the other. We are much relieved from the fatigue and trials of a long journey if we have a companion or the association of a group. Similarly, in this ocean, if we obtain the help of devotees of similar nature to ours, that will be most conducive. Even our Guru Maharaj, in a speech he delivered on Vyasa Puja, his holy appearance day, addressed his disciples, Vipada Udarana Bandhugan. O my friends, who can give me relief from danger? To me, you are my deliverers from danger. In the ocean of faith, it is very difficult to journey onward alone. So you have come to help me in my dangerous, ambitious journey in the infinite. You have come and you are engaging me in talking about only him. And so you have given me some engagement. Otherwise, to live and move alone in the infinite is very difficult, troublesome, and dangerous. You have all come to hear something, and in this exchange of talks about him, the situation has been made very safe and easy to journey so far toward Vaikuntha. We must be conscious of our real position when we are searching for Krishna. It is not easy, and also it is very easy, both simultaneously. Faith is the only capital by which we can make our journey towards the infinite. Bhakti, devotion, has no beginning and no end. Ahoituki apratiyata. There is no beginning. It is there already. Before we came to know about it, it was there. It was there. It is there. It will be there. No one can resist it. That bhakti, that faith is irresistible. It is part of the eternal substance. Its very nature is eternity. None can oppose it. We only have to make contact and associate with it, and the wave will carry us toward our goal. And if we can have the company of the devotees, the journey becomes very easy and pleasant, whereas to go alone is very difficult. In the progress of our contact with faith, when we come to take benefit from the devotees and have faith in them, we are more safe, and our progress is also tangible. It comes to reality. From a vague, abstract position, faith becomes deeper within us. We can then recognize many others with the same objective in life, and the journey becomes easier. It becomes conceivable. It comes into measurement. When we have faith in the real devotees, we can come into contact with such a tangible thing. Thus, the position of the devotees is very important in our journey, especially in the middle stage. In the primary stage, not much importance is given to the devotees. With only a vague conception from the scriptures and with the help of previous accumulated merits or sukriti, the journey is begun. But gradually, the beginners find that to journey onwards in the infinite is not an easy thing. We thought that with a little progress we could attain the desired end, but now we find that it is not so. When we come to consider the real position of devotion, of what is God, He is universal, He is the ultimate goal, we may gradually become disappointed. But if along the way we take help from the devotees of similar objective, we shall feel much relief by their company, even though the destination may be very far away. The difficulties of the journey are more prominent in the second stage. In the primary stage, we're not very exclusive in our objective, and so we do not experience much difficulty. Real difficulties begin when we enter into the journey exclusively, with no other objective than to engage our whole energy towards that high and elevated path. And if we actually achieve a touch of that highest stage, the Mahabhagavat stage, the journey again becomes easy. But the middle portion is difficult, and at that stage, the devotees are very important to save us. This is the period of both tangible acquisition and difficulty. Our failings on the path to realization are to be rectified in this middle stage. When we enter into war, in the beginning, we have much hope. We feel confident, but the real test is when the fighting begins. And when we finally conquer, we again become very satisfied. But the middle, when the war is being conducted, that is the difficult position. At that time, our co-workers, our comrades who fight alongside us are very, very important to us. I am not alone, but there are many others battling alongside me in that middle fighting period of war. Those companions are important. Some may disappear from the field, but there will be others to encourage me. Similarly, on this journey, we may see that many stalwarts are falling. It may discourage us to see such respected persons going away, falling in the middle path. Nonetheless, in the midst of those unfavorable circumstances, there are others who are bravely making progress with unflinching faith, and they will help us. To stick it out to the end is difficult, but important and valuable. The test comes and shows how much faith we have. Nothing comes in vain, and we must take everything that happens in that way. There may be so many stalwarts like Bhishma and Drona who fall flat in the battlefield, but still we must go on. Karmani evadikaras te mafaleshu kadachana. We are out to fight to the end. We must achieve our end of life, and we can imbibe such firmness from the character of the devotees. The Shastra will also offer helpful advice, but the association of the devotees is nonetheless of, of ultimate importance. We need lasting faith, not flickering faith. Oh, I attempted for some time, but I didn't find any tangible fruit from Bhakti, so I left. Or, to me, it seemed very, very vague. When I began, I thought this to be something tangible that I would quickly attain. But it's not so. It's uncertain. I'm giving so much energy for the cause, but still the desired result is not achieved. Previous tendencies also draw from the negative side, and so we find that many stalwarts are falling. Still, we have to persevere in this journey, and we shall have to take courage from those who are standing and who are deeply engaged. Though it is told hundreds of times that the Absolute is infinite, in the beginning we still tend to take it in the conception of the finite. We are accustomed to think of anything and everything in terms of finite. So although we hear that it is infinite, it is Vaikuntha, it has no limit, we nonetheless cannot grasp the proper meaning. But when we make practical progress, many new conceptions must come to our knowledge. Now, when our Guru Maharaj addressed his disciples as Vipada Udarana, Bandhugan, my dear friends who have come to deliver me from danger, we should of course recognize such a statement from both the relative and absolute standpoints. Students are a necessary part of a professor. When a professor has students, he feels the practical utility of his life has been successful. Thus, from the relative point of view, disciples can help the Acharya. But from the absolute standpoint, Krishna's will is everything, and the Nitya Siddha, or eternally perfect great souls, who inwardly know the Lord's intentions, cannot be disturbed by any danger in any respect. But outwardly, such an appearance may be manifested in their dealings. Matchita matkata prana bodhayanta parasparam kantayantas chamam nityam tushanticha ramanticha. Matchita, their attention is in me. Madgata prana, their energy is also spent for my cause. Bodhayanta parasparam, they mutually assist one another. This reminds us of the Napoleonic chair. Once, when stranded in a marsh, Napoleon arranged that each man sit on the lap of another in a circular formation. Each automatically protected the other from the otherwise fatal cold, and they could all remain awake to pass the whole night of intolerable cold. Otherwise his army would have perished. So by mutual help, one devotee is asking questions, another is answering, and they are both getting engagement. The questioner is giving some energy, and the answerer is also energizing. Bodhayanta parasparam. Those of equal standing exchange their thoughts about Krishna. Katayantas chamam nityam. And thereby their blissfulness is generated. By mutual understanding and discussion, a kind of nectar arises that nourishes the devotees. One is asking something about me, and another is answering, and thereby that discussion creates a flow of nectar that nourishes both parties. Tushanticha ramanticha. Satisfaction is generated from the mutual understanding, and it develops up to ramanticha, up to the quality of the absolute reciprocation, the wholesale transaction. It rises up to that standard, ramanticha, and again I gave them a further installment, an illumination of new light, tadami buddhi yogam tam, and they take a new course and are promoted into the suicide squad, that squadron which is eligible for every type of service. That particular type of soldier is competent to fight on the land, in the water, in the sky, or in any circumstances, and he is prepared for any form of fighting, any form of service. I direct them to that section. Jainamam upayantite, unconditional service. They are ready for any service demanded of them. They are ready to sacrifice their lives for any form of service. And that particular group is in Vrindavan. I mentioned to Sripade Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj that in the Gita, after Ramanti comes Buddhi Yoga and then Upayanti. According to me, the meaning is that Ramanti, or divine service, is Madhura Rasa, progresses through Buddhi Yoga or Yogamaya up to Upayanti, or the highest plane of service in Vrindavan. Sripad Swami Maharaj responded, what more could it mean than this? Hence, Upayanti means Kama Rupa. In his Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Srila Rupa Goswami has mentioned Sambandha Rupa and Kama Rupa, the two types of Ragatmika Bhakti, or devotion rendered by the eternal associates of the Lord, headed by the residents of Braja. In Sambandha Rupa, the Lord's associates cooperate according to their fixed relative positions of Dasya, Sakya, Vatsalya, or Madhura. Whereas in Kama Rupa, they come forward to serve any necessity that is demanded of them. They are ready to serve any and every desire of the Absolute. They are like that group of soldiers who have been trained to do any service in the war without being limited to fighting only in a particular division, such as the Army, Navy, or Air Force. They are prepared for all sorts of service anywhere. Such is the Kama Rupa group. This is Upayantite. They are awarded the instruction, Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam, by which they earn such capacity in the service of the Supreme. Krishna is ready to cooperate with the servitors in any position. In Mathura, he gave even Sarindri Kubja the chance to render higher service. Krishna is prepared for anything. And so the other side, his servitors, must also be prepared in that way. The high conception of Kama Rupa is very, very abstruse. It is most difficult for ordinary mortals to comprehend. Tesham evanukam partam aham agyana jam tamaha nasamya atma bhavashto jnana dipena bhashvataha. I am so indebted to those devotees that whenever they feel the pain of my separation, I cannot tolerate it. I immediately run to cooperate with them in accepting my service. Such is the intensity of the demand I feel from them. Sorry, this is actually quite longer than I thought, but nearly there. In an examination hall, many of us may sit for the examination, yet many are unsuccessful and fall back. But we are not to dwell on them. Rather, we shall try to keep company with the successful candidates. They should be the focus of our attention, and with their help, we shall progress. Progress means selection and elimination, and there is no end of making progress. We must take courage to that extent. Everywhere, and in whatever direction we may go, we shall find both successful and unsuccessful candidates. We shall try to avoid the unsuccessful. Some may be brilliant in the primary class, but in progressing further, we find they are proving dull and cannot pass the test. And there may be many who were not very successful in the primary class, but flourish in higher education. Thus, we should not be discouraged and disappointed on hearing that so many once respected stalwarts are falling away. We should try to feel the actual soil. We need a sincere acquaintance with the soil on which we are moving. It is unintelligible to the fullest extent, but we must spare some energy to cultivate a deeper feeling for where we are, what we want, and where we are going. We must have a deeper feeling for the plane of our objective and achievement. We must not allow ourselves to be captured by the outer charm of things, but we should try to feel and trace the reality as our friend. Kleshagni Shubhada Moksha Laguta Krit Sudurlabha Sandrananda Visheshatma Sri Krishna Karshani Chasha. Some Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Uttama Bhakti, the purest devotion, is the vanquisher of all sin and ignorance and the bestower of all auspiciousness. Liberation is belittled in the presence of such devotion, which is very rarely attained. The embodiment of the deepest ecstasy and the attractor of Sri Krishna himself. Even if we achieve liberation from all undesirable forces around us, pure devotion undermines this position of liberation. We may be a liberated soul free from the reactions and apprehension of the future to attain Sudurlabha, but association with the positive engagement, Bhakti, is much more difficult to attain. To obtain a passport is not the same as securing a visa. One may have a passport, but in order to secure a visa, it will have to be necessary to undergo more trouble. In other words, we may be released by the reactionary plane, yet we may not have entrance into the higher plane. To have entrance there is far beyond this liberation. The qualification to eagerly aspire to give oneself wholly for the other plane of life is hardly to be found in anyone. Such a person has no motive to acquire anything for the plane in which he had previously been living for so long. Furthermore, if he is appointed to be a preacher, an agent to do relief work here, he will execute that duty solely under the appointment of and in the interest of that higher plane, without any attachment that I shall bring some good to the people. He will think, I must put myself wholly at the disposal of the higher plane, and I shall not be eager to become an acharya, a spiritual master. Otherwise, there is the danger of committing namaparad, offense against the Lord's name. Ashiradane vimuke pya Arshnivati ja chopa deshaha shiva namaparadaha. It is an offense to give the holy name to the faithless. It betrays the motivation to gain a position in the higher sphere. This is a type of mundane attachment, a spiritual tradery, as is the habit of the caste Goswamis and other spurious lines. Rather, the healthy attitude should be, if I am appointed from above, then I shall serve as appointed, and that too only for the interest of those who have appointed me. I am entering that rank solely for the interest of that higher land. That should be the pure and perfect approach. So with a passport alone, we cannot hope to enter easily into that higher plane, which is Sudurlabha, very rarely attained. But if we can enter, we shall feel Sandrananda Visheshatma. Yes, the very plane itself is most happy and full of independent spirit. I desired to secure a visa to enter this country, and now I find that it really is as promised. I directly perceive that I am breathing in a far higher, sweeter atmosphere, a homely atmosphere that far excels anything of my previous soil. And finally, Sri Krishna Karshani Chasha, Krishna himself, reality the beautiful, who attracts the heart of all. Even he is attracted by the dedication of his surrendered servitor. Neither power nor knowledge have any play in this domain, but the sweet absolute is captured by the love of his devotee. That's the end.
Hare Krishna. So now for those of you who've never listened to a spoken book, today you've had an opportunity to hear. And actually there are many books which are spoken, and they're listed there on scsmat.com, all for free download and spoken by different readers. And it is definitely a way to become familiar with the books, especially if, well, now Chintamani's left because she was driving somewhere. But for those who drive a lot and drive to work and back from work, or take the public transport, you can put your headphones in, you can listen to the books. It is a way to become familiar with the books which are there. And hearing Devashis Prabhu's voice, and I'm thinking, yes, spoken book. The success of faith. And there are, I don't know how many hits there are if you search faith in our books, but it must be unlimited. Many, many hits are there from Guru Maharaj and from Gurudev. And there is a phrase from Gurudev, and we printed it out, and we kept this one for a little while, because we do these things. Now it is. Now I need to see if I can find it quickly. It's in Revealed Truth, and see if I can find. I should have found it. Oh, here. It's quite possible that some of you have heard me quote this, because I had this as a very favorite quote recently. That is that Gurudev Govindamar, Srila Govindamar is saying, the practice of Krishna consciousness is our life, and it is necessary to practice that in a fair and perfect way. In our practicing life, faith is the basis and love is our food. If our love for Krishna increases, then everything increases. If we realize what we have received from our Gurudev, that is pure consciousness of Sri Krishna, then in everything, every song, every verse, every advice, every thought, we will feel my existence is present there. But that expression, in our practicing life, faith is the basis and love is our food. This one, not only myself, when we were reading this in our daily program here, then everybody, we all pricked up our ears. Oh, faith is the basis and love is our food. This is Krishna consciousness. And we just heard that chapter, The Success of Faith. from Srila Guru Maharaj, from the sermons, but in other places certainly the different ways of seeing the importance of faith in our devotional life. And elsewhere, maybe Gurudev points out that faith is the basis for every religion. It's the basis of religious life, in fact. And then as much as we can, we will build our faith, protect our faith and build our faith. And that is our capital. Hare Krishna. Okay, we've heard a very full chapter. So now we can say, get out your pens and papers and we'll have a quiz on what you just learned, what you just heard. And we do that wherever we are. When we're in London also, yes, I remember in London asking at the breakfast table and at the lunch table, okay, everybody say one thing that we heard when we read this morning. In fact, we like to ask two things that we heard in the talk or the class this morning. And often and usually we will say, okay, later today, we will all test each other. Each of us will come up with, remember, at least two things from this morning's class. So we say that in advance before the class, and then you'll be surprised at breakfast time how difficult it is sometimes for the devotees to come up with two items from the morning class. And by lunchtime, to get one item from the morning class is good going. And by the dinner, the evening time prasadam, and we ask, okay, what did we read this morning? Oh dear. Hare Krishna. But faith is the basis and love is our food. Hare Krishna. So I think Devashish was in a very complete way given us this theme. Faith is the only capital by which we can make our journey towards the infinite. All right, dear devotees, ask me a question. Make me useful. Please make me useful. Hare Krishna. Okay. Then, question.
Maharaj?
Ah, yes. Tell
us about Villa Govinda. What's been happening with you there? Anything?
Oh, yes. Villa Govinda is all back to normal. The kiosk was open. The devotees came. The public came. We chanted Hare Krishna with faith as the basis and love and cake as our food. Because they sell cake at the kiosk. And yes, it is lively place. And the fish pond freezes every night and sometimes unfreezes in the day. Then you see the fish in there, the poor fish, they go into like hibernation. But everything is going on very beautifully. And we have devotees wanting to come, including maybe from London. So I do not know the legalities for the COVID requirements and things, but always Munindra Krishna Kanta, Shantimay Madhurananda, they're always saying, yes, any devotee can come all the time. Faithful devotees can come all the time. So this is an open invitation from them, and they have got more accommodation now. Munindra, with the help of the devotees, he's made another room upstairs, and now we need the devotees to come. And devotees are coming from around and about this weekend, because for 2 weekends we were in quarantine. Now we're free, we're out, we appreciate our freedom. You see, when we get in quarantine, then we can get a little hint of the value of freedom. And what other question, Lavanyamoi, about Vila Govinda?
No, I just wanted to know how it was all going there.
Yeah, going
Yeah,
good.
we will. I think we'll just maybe wait a month or so and just see what the restrictions are, and then I'm sure some from here will come. We want to, but you know how it is. So hopefully it's calming down a bit here now. So we'll see.
The world goes in waves. Once something will calm down, something will come up. But the main thing is our Krishna consciousness will stay steady and will build on that. And it was, I now understand, I think it was Mark Twain who said, and I only know this because I heard it in Goswami Maharaj's class, where he's saying that yes, he's going to die. I mean, everyone's going to die, but he's on his deathbed and somebody interviews him, and it was Mark Twain apparently. And they asked him, so from your experience of life, please give us some advice. And his advice was, don't worry about anything. He said, in my life, I worried about so many things, most of which never happened. And the things I didn't worry about, they happened. Anyway, so there's no gain by worry. And so help yourselves not to be worried by the world by not reading the newspapers and the news and the Facebook and all those other things. Now, always we have to be focused on what we should be reading, what we should be nourishing ourselves with. Then how much crazy is outside? We hardly get any touch of that. Only out of necessity, like you say, to find out what we can and cannot do, and then live within that parameter. And Rupa Goswami, he strongly advised us not to engage in any talks other than Krishna talks. And we see the devotees who do get very troubled by the world, basically are taking food from the non-Krishna Katha section of the internet. Hare Krishna.
I have a question.
Yes.
If I may.
Yes, please.
It's regarding, we are not meant to preach to the faithless, right? Is that one of the offenses that we should avoid?
You know it is one of the offenses.
Right. Anyway,
so I'm sure that's not the question.
Well,
but,
please correct me anyway, if I'm wrong. But sometimes you get, visitors that they want to challenge you, not really they want to hear. So how do we deal with those situations? Because they tend to come often, that kind of situation.
Every situation is different, but if they're only coming to challenge, then give them some prasadam, let them read a book, and you be busy doing something else. I mean, there's a way to treat the guests. We give time, but when the same people will come again and again and not in the mood that Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, coming with humility, with sincere inquiry and offer of service. If it's coming just to have an argument, there is no benefit in that. And we can give some opportunity, try to give them some faith on this theme today of faith. Try to give them some faith in what we're doing and the teachings, the masters, and why we should have some faith. But if it's going nowhere, and if you see that it's just they're coming for argument, prasadam, and let them sit down and read a book. But it all depends on who they are. If it's a big disturbance, you can send them down to another society which may be more suitable for them. I do not know. If they don't have faith in Krishna, then go down the road to the church, see if they can have some faith in Jesus. And Jesus is teaching about Krishna, which is about God. But we want to be polite, but we're not here to entertain people for no purpose. We just had this weekend, one of the people who came was a Buddhist, and they want to come here for a weekend, said, oh, I've been practicing Buddhism. And then I'm actually shocked after talking for 10, 15 minutes. Then they're not even vegetarian. And then I kind of shock you, practicing Buddhist, but you're in Buddhism, but you know, the Buddha's first teaching is ahimsa. So, you know, it's very difficult to say where everybody is at, as they say. But we will try to introduce Gurudev and Guru Maharaj and Srila Prabhupada. We'll try to introduce Bhagavad Gita, the Vedas, but we can't just waste our time, and we'll be polite with those who come again and again and give them some service. Oh, if you all keep coming, come, peel potatoes, clean the drain, do something. But you're a gentleman lady. You're a gentle lady, Saraswati. You know how to be polite with people and express. But our duty is to try, and that means to give them some faith. And then with some faith, then they can hear some more detail. But if really they don't have any faith in what we're saying or doing and just taking us as entertainment or a comparative religion or something, that we don't have time for that.
Maybe they will get some sukriti by being in the temple and taking prasadam and, I don't know, something for perhaps another life or another opportunity.
Yes, and so sing along with the devotees, join the evening program. But
maybe not that far of joining a program, but yeah, it's just that, yeah, you know, you welcome everybody and everything, and sometimes it's a little bit difficult, you know, but we are getting used to it, and different people and different situations and different circumstances. So, and
we have the experience too that some of the people who we think there's no chance they become good devotees, and some of the people we think, oh, you know, they're keen, enthusiastic, vegetarian and everything else, and they don't become devotees. They are stuck in their own conception. So it's very difficult for us to say who will become a devotee, who won't become a devotee. And even like 10 years down the line, are they going to remember something at a certain time that we've said to them? It may well be that they do, especially if they are dying or their close relative is passing away. Then at these serious times in people's lives, then it can be that they will think of, oh, those Hare Krishnas, they said this. That lady, she told that, she said, from the Gita, where's this Gita book? And there are quite a lot of instances like this. And who was telling me? Anyhow, the mother or father of a devotee, at the time of the father or mother passing away, like spontaneously remembered, oh, there's that Bhagavad Gita that my daughter, I don't remember who it was now, that my daughter was always telling me about the Bhagavad Gita. And and it was the mother who was reading the Bhagavad Gita to her husband as her husband was leaving her body. So, you know, we can't say what's going to be in the future. We'll try our best, and we just have to take everything on a case-by-case basis. It's very difficult. We can't put everybody in the same category. So we'll try to be generous. And the most generous thing is to let them hear the holy name, let them have some prasadam, and we're not going to go to fine details. if they don't have any faith, or any details, really, if they don't have any faith. And when outside people come to an evening program, for instance, and if you're doing the Parayan, the continuous reading of Chaitanya Charitamrita or Srimad Bhagavatam, whatever it may be, it is necessary to be a little selective with what you read. Because somebody comes straight through the door and they start to hear about some of these pastimes, it'll kind of blow them away. And that would be preaching to the faithless in that sense. They're going to be hearing all sorts of things which then they'll go away and quite possibly make offense in their mind, and when they tell their friends, oh, you know what they're talking about in the temple. So we need to be a little selective with what we read and talk about when we've got the newcomers coming in who are just basically coming in to make some inquiry. But if they have some inquiry and something is there, we want to fan that faith. That's, that's how Srila Gurudev very much developed the devotees. Wherever he saw a little faith, like fanning that faith to get the little spark into a fire. And you have such a beautiful facility there in London that was it actually the chaplain's house or the priest's house? Something like that. It has a religious background to it, that house, with the tall, very tall rooms, expensive to heat. That's why nobody wanted to buy it. That's how Krishna brought it into the reach of the devotees, because as a private house in the modern age of electricity and gas and everything, it's very difficult. But as a public place, it is very suitable, which it is.
It was a school,
Oh, it was a school. Okay.
Yes.
It has been many things. The house of the priest, the school, offices. It had many uses throughout these years. 1846.
1846, okay. But it looks religious. It looks like a religious place. Just the door that's behind you. But that's just a sign from the outside, the windows and the doors, the nature of the outside of the building. I expect it was made as a priest's home, or a priest, maybe a religious school. Anyway, it has a very good feeling, and so close to the airport. Quicker to walk from Terminal 5 of Heathrow Airport than to take the bus. And if you take the bus, it's free. How much better can you get than that? That's exactly what Gurudev wants. He's got to have a free metro from all the terminals to the Hatton Cross and walk up the road. Gurudev wanted a place near Heathrow Airport. Specifically, we know, and this place came miraculously. But miraculously, by Gurudev's design, it came. Hare Krishna. Gurudev is smiling at West London by Heathrow Airport, and smiling at East London, where his direct presence and the preaching from that little house, that made a big impact on countless lives also. And also those people in the street, they all got some benefit. The chicken shop, the fried chicken shop owner, everybody got benefit. Because after all, when the kirtan goes on, everyone hears it. Amazing. Really, maybe it is the loudest kirtan I've ever been in, was in the East London temple, with maybe 4 mridangas and strong Mridanga players, and the small room, my goodness, it was a very loud kirtan. They could hear it everywhere, to the Akash, to the limit of the sky, you could hear it. What to speak of the next door neighbors.
Maharaj, you know what Srila Gurudev called the shops? The chicken shop and the beer shop, he called them Jagai and Madai.
Hare Krishna. Well, Jagai and Madai got a lot of mercy by the grace of Nitai and Gauranga. Hare Krishna. All right. Oh, Rukmini joined us also. And Krishna Mohini from California or Utah? Which Krishna Mohini is with us? Reveal yourself. Oh, Krishna Mohini from Spain, you see, because Krishna Mohini in Spain, in Utah, and in California, and maybe other places too. Jai.
Dandavat, Maharaj.
Dandavat, Rukmini Devi. Welcome, welcome. Oh, driving also, be careful, drive safely. All right, anyway, lots of things about faith we can say, and we've heard lots about faith from Srila Guru Maharaj, but it is the very currency for our spiritual journey. And you see, with faith also, surrender. These two things are going hand in hand. Faith and surrender. And we'll see this throughout Prapana Jivanamritam, the introduction, the forward, etc. Prapana Jivanamritam also. All right, dear devotees, let's, yes, it's 20:33, gone past our hour, but happy to be with you. We didn't get a lot of time to chat with our Anjali, who's come with us today, but Anjali, our thoughts are with you today. Mukunda Prabhu, Madhusudan Maharaj's disappearance day. And we were remembering this morning and chanting his glories here with all of the devotees this morning, Anjali. Anjali is there with Saraswati in the London temple. All right. And to all of you who are with us from Latvia, South America, all over the world, South Africa, the Southern Hemisphere is well represented, and all across the globe. And from Australia, look and see, Ireland, all over. Then our obeisances to you, and have a successful week in Seva. All his Leela Moy also and Vijay Krishna were there, and their young daughter.
Dandavat, Maharaj.
Hearing
She's
Harikatha.
sleeping.
Jai.
Yeah.
All right, Jai, wonderful Srila Gurudev, Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj ki Jai.
Jai.
Jai, wonderful Srila Guru Maharaj, Srila Bhakti Rockok Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj ki Jai.
Jai.
And
Jai.
wonderful Srila Prabhupada, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki Jai.
Jai.
And Jai, our grand Srila Bhagavan, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur ki Jai.
Jai.
Rupa Nuga Guru Vaga ki Jai.
Jai.
Nama Acharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki Jai.
Jai.
And Jai, all our present day Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Acharya Brinda ki Jai.
Jai.
And Jai, all the assembled devotees ki Jai.
Jai.
Devashis Prabhu ki Jai. Saraswati Devi Rasi ki Jai. We're in London today. They are the leaders of the London ashrams and devotees. And Bhagavan Prabhu ki Jai, our senior devotee here, and all of the all devotees. Who is senior and who is junior? We are all children in the eyes of Gurudev and Guru Maharaj, and we are trying together to build faith, come forward with this currency to make our journey in the safe direction, one direction, home to Krishna. Bancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo. Namaha.
Jai Srila Bhakti Ranjan Madhusudan Maharaj ki jai.
Dandavats one
Wow.
and all.
Jai. Hari Bol. Thank you,
Glorify
Maharaj.
our masters.
Thank you.
Dandavat, Dandavat.
Dandavat.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Ami Ashchi in my best Bengali. Please excuse me, any Bengali people. Ami Ashchi. Ah, it must be about right.